Begin Podfix Network transmission in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Yummy and Fearless podcast with the Side Chicks, where we offer our side of the issues. Thank you so much for listening. Please follow us at Yummy Fearless on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and even Pinterest, where you'll find additional content from today's show. You can also listen to us on Apple iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, and Spotify. Please rate, like, review, subscribe, and share. And if no one else has told you today, we love you. Now let's get into the show. All right.
Speaking of fedora wearing bastard.
Yes. So you remember The Girls Next Door with Hugh Hefner
and Dolly Madison, or whatever her name was.
Holly Madison. Yeah, Holly Madison, and there was two other ones, Kendra,
yeah.
Wilkinson, and I forget the other one's name.
She has a show now. She has a new show now, Kendra.
Yeah. And she was married or something at some point with a guy that got caught with a
Don't say it. Oh, come on.
Yeah, he got caught with a trans woman.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's so rough.
Yeah, that's rough. So they now, I guess they have a podcast. Bridget Marquette is her name. That's the other girl.
Okay.
So they have a podcast, and this episode was entitled In the Bedroom. And they talk about their first time sleeping with Hugh Hefner. And you know what? I didn't realize they were as young as they were when they
Did they really sleep with his old ass?
They really did. I
guess they were his girlfriends. He used to call them his girlfriends, which I always thought was like, come on.
I mean, even kissing him, because like old people like get like spit build up in the corners, right, in the corners of their mouth. They would be like kissing him, and he didn't really have like lips. He had more like a rim.
Yeah, like little slits. He had like a slit in his face.
Right. So, okay, so they said that everybody wanted to get it over with as quickly as possible.
I bet they did. Yuck.
That none of the women were into it. And they thought of it as a chore that they had to do.
Oh, my God.
Or else they would get kicked out of the house. And everybody just wanted to make it go away.
Oh, my God.
As quickly as possible.
That's sick. That's really sick.
Yes. And they were like 21, though. Think of yourself at 21. And I think he was like 75. 21. He was like 75.
They said that that's where Bill Cosby used to get down.
I have recently heard that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Maybe they had something in common is all I'm saying.
Bill Cosby was out in them streets.
With the 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds. That's gross.
Molesting white women.
But who's to blame for that? Like, first of all, why are you speaking ill of the dead? Like, why are you gonna wait till this man dead and then start talking shit about him and his sex? You didn't say shit when he was alive.
You didn't. But I'm kind of glad they are, because I did want to know. I wanted to know. Like, everybody wondered. Like, he got 3 girlfriends. Is he banging?
Did he need to, though?
How is it happening?
That's what Dan Cook got to look forward to. Your old ass.
Oh, Lord. He probably already there.
People have been dragging him, and I'm so glad. I'm glad it's not just me. He's gross.
Pillow face. Yeah.
Pillow face.
They probably ain't got no pillows on the bed. Just use Dane's face. Come on, baby. I'm ready to go to sleep.
Yuck. You played yourself, man. But Hugh Hefner kind of had this playboy, persona. Everybody knew he's a dirty old man. I mean, but it's like he's got these young hot girlfriends who are playmates or whatever. Yeah, they knew what it was. Everybody knew what it was. But why are you gonna talk shit about him now? You weren't talking shit when you was in the house with them.
Well, here's what Bridget said about her first time. She said her first time happened. She's 48 today. Her first time happened after a night of clubbing with him and some other girls. And she said the encounter, which is what she called it, lasted about a minute and that it was disappointing and embarrassing. Then Holly says it was so embarrassing and agreed. And she became one of Hefner's girlfriends at the age of 21, and they dated from 2001 to 2008. And her quote is, "I can't explain to you guys how embarrassing that whole routine was, especially as we got later down the road when there would be like a lot of conflict with other girls. You're literally sitting there naked, having sex in front of a group of people who hate you and talk shit about you while you're having sex and you hear it. It was just like hell." There's
Boo-hoo.
definitely not really romance involved at all.
Who said this? Kendra?
This is Holly.
Holly. Okay. I really had respect for her until now.
Was her
Boo.
really? You
Boo.
don't?
Like that's it makes her look bad, not him. It makes her look bad. It makes both of them look bad.
But they were like 21.
So they had parents. They had choices. They knew what it was. They knew what it was.
But they were really young.
Gross.
That's really young.
That's what they get. They shouldn't know. You know exactly what you know how to spread your legs. Didn't nobody have to tell you not to pose. Didn't nobody tell you have to. No, they knew better. They knew what they were doing.
But like also, why did he have to have sex with them in a group with the other girls watching?
Because the way I see it, that is the life of rock and rollers. He's a rock star lifestyle. He's the playboy. He is the playboy king. He literally owns the Playboy mansion. Literally owns the Playboy franchise. Do you really think the guy who owns Playboy, the nudie magazine, is not going to have a concubine, a whole orgy type of situation going? That's what these rock and rollers do today.
But I also wonder if he really thought
that they liked
him or desired him sexually.
I think he knew they did not. I think he knew they didn't. Because I think at one point when they had the reality show years ago, I want to say that they each had boyfriends outside of him. I don't know if each of them, but I know one of them, might have been Kendra or something, had a boyfriend outside of the relationship. And I think she left the mansion and had to tell him that she was leaving the mansion and all this stuff because she got another relationship. But I'm sure he was not that. I mean, you don't get to be the Playboy mansion and the Playboy owner without having a little bit of savvy. I'm sure he knew they weren't all about him.
I guess he just didn't care.
Right. Just like most of these men.
That he was getting on top of them, giving them a solid 60 seconds. He didn't care.
Right. He got his. So like, hey, you better get yours. Because I'm trying to, let's think, isn't there a modern day or a current day situation similar to that? Think of the ugly motherfuckers that you know of who are rappers or singers or something. And they have beautiful, or say athletes. And they have these beautiful wives. And they know that if they did not have the money and prestige and status that they have, there was no way they could pull these Dane Cook. Look at Dane Cook's old pillow face
shit.
ass.
Yeah. Even though at one time he
Dane
was
Cook
cute
was
enough
cute.
to
Yes.
legitimately pull,
He really was.
but I don't know what's happening today. And he turned his face into a pillow, I think, in his 30s. So,
Oh gosh, that's just you
Which is-
going out like a nut, Dane.
which is young. So Holly also said, so she said their first night she was totally, or her quote was fucking wasted. And when they returned to the mansion, the girls went upstairs to Hefner's room and took a bath before getting on with the routine. And she says, I go over to the bed. The other new girl is already lying there. There's vibrators laid out everywhere for everybody. I'd never used a vibrator in my life. So I'm lying there waiting for everybody else. She said a woman that they call the recruiter, so that they don't reveal her real name, called out to Hefner. The recruiter says, Daddy, do you want to get the new girl? Noting that everybody used to call Hefner Daddy in the
really
bedroom,
gross.
which is so gross, which is what she said. But apparently it was only in the bedroom everybody called him Daddy. And then she says, I shit you not, the next thing I know, he's on top of me. Later on, things would get so routine, like he wouldn't move. He would be like a bump on a log in the middle of the bed. The recruiter then got Madison a pair of pajamas, and she moved into the Playboy Mansion shortly after that night. Madison went on to be Hefner's #1 girlfriend and starred on The Girls Next Door with Bridget and Kendra Wilkinson from 2005 to 2009. So it was like, it was a job.
Yeah, I don't have any respect for them. Yuck. They make themselves look bad. I would have more respect for them if they'd been like, yeah, that was my man. I loved him.
I actually did like him, but like, that's not what.
But you talking shit about him and his sex, and he is not even here to defend himself. Yuck. That makes you look stupid.
He's not. And you did that shit for years.
For years, yeah. So what does that say about you? Buyer beware is all I'm saying. That's like really, like, don't you have kids now? I know one of them has kids. Look at
I know Holly does.
That's not a good look to me.
No, it's not at all. It's weird.
Like you didn't have a choice. Get out of here. Get the hell out of here.
I must say, even though they were young, they were not being held against their will.
No.
They could have left. They wanted the whatever situation that was, the notoriety.
Yeah. And they weren't innocents. It's not like somebody victimized them or was a predator for them. No, they knew what it was. They moved in there of their own volition. They had sex of their own free will. Nobody was holding them hostage. They did it for their own personal gain.
Yeah.
Like you look, and it makes all of the playmates look bad. I thought the playmates were supposed to be like just women who were, I thought it was more empowering. It's supposed to be like an empowering type of thing. But that really makes it look bad. Yuck.
Right. But it is grosser than I thought it was, though. it is grosser than I thought it was. Then they go on to talk about how gross his bedroom itself was.
Did they?
They said, I was shocked at how messy it was. We walked in and it was just a disaster in there. The lights were out, but there were 2 giant TV screens in there that were playing porn. And there was just so much junk. And Bridget also said that there were vibrators all over the bed. I'm sure that they were being reused. And Madison compared it to like, it was so much junk, like a hoarder style junk. So she's like, imagine thinking you're this big player and you're bringing all these girls home and your room looks like shit. It's like the weird, eccentric millionaire version of the guy with the mattress on the floor and a Pulp Fiction poster.
Boo.
And Madison called the experience traumatic,
Get the fuck out of here.
noting that she felt so gross and so used. And Bridget explained how she felt guilty and beat herself up for a while after becoming intimate with Hefner. She eventually moved into the house and signed on to do the show.
Now, do you feel sorry for them?
After every disgusting phrase, then they say, and then they signed on to do the show.
Exactly.
Or then they were with them for the next 7, 8 years. Or then it's like,
I don't feel sorry for them at all.
because they still had a lot going for them. They were young, beautiful, blonde.
Exactly.
You know, they're in Hollywood. They could have got out there and tried something else and fended for themselves.
But you became what do you call the bottom bitch? You became Hefner's bottom bitch, basically.
Yeah. And then I guess
kept women.
But they were like kept women in the worst sense. Like they had curfews. They didn't even have their own place. They had a room.
What?
Yes, they had a room.
They shared a room? No.
Well, they didn't share a room, but it was
they had a room at the okay,
yeah,
at the mansion.
But it was very basic. It wasn't like some standard of living that was like some Saudi prince or some shit. It was very pedestrian, everyday living. It was not enough to let an old dude hump on you level. Not to me.
They make themselves look really, really trashy. I mean, you basically sold out. You sold your coochie to live in and do a reality show.
Yeah. Yeah. And
congratulations. I'm sure your parents are proud.
Yeah, that. But I used to watch that show.
I did too. I watched it a few times.
I watched like it all the time, and they seemed happy.
Yeah.
At least on the show.
I was always fascinated. I'm like, so does he really go with these girls? And they always seemed like they were
satisfied and happy to be there and happy to be with him. And they wanted to be with him. That's what it looked like.
And he looked like he was a nice guy. I mean,
right.
It's not like he was mean or anything like that. Now, I do remember, is that what you mean when you say they had curfews and stuff like that when they lived there?
Yeah, they had curfews. And like they had to dress the way he told them. They couldn't dye their hair black or anything. Like they had to keep that Playboy blonde. Like they had to look his standard of attractive, you know.
Yeah. I saw this influencer, a little snippet from her. She was saying it always amazes her when broke guys say that women are gold diggers.
I know.
Did you see that?
I didn't see it, but that always blows my mind. They're the ones the most concerned about it.
Right, that's exactly what she said.
Have nothing.
I thought about that. I'm like, wow, she has a point. I mean, she was like, because guys with money, they don't even use that term. They don't care.
They don't care. That's like somebody wanting the change in their ashtray. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they don't, this is not an issue for them. It's broke dudes are always the ones, you know, like talking about that. It's like,
she was like, that's like being in the desert and being fearful that you're going to drown. It's like not even going to happen. It's like,
yeah.
So like, for Hefner, you know, that's just the price of
admission.
Mm-hmm. It's not a big thing to him.
Yeah.
He didn't seem like he was, you know, a mean guy. Was he a little creepy? Probably.
For sure.
But he couldn't be creepy by himself. He needed help. They helped him become creepy.
They helped him. They helped him. I don't think that I could do it personally. And you and I were just recently talking about like the stuff that girls used to do for stuff.
Yes. Man, you don't think you could? I think sometimes I'm like, when I was youthful, when I had youth and beauty, I wasted all my youth and beauty being
Certainly did.
very naive and on the up and up, because I wasn't thinking about that kind of stuff. Now I'm thinking about it like, shit, you mean to tell me I can live for free? Now nobody I can't pay nobody to take
Can't
me
trick
out.
nobody into this. Yeah.
Back when I had it like that, I was not even thinking about doing anything like that. But now,
Yeah. Yeah, but
I ain't mad at it. But don't be talking shit about somebody who you had an agreement with, and now he's dead. He can't even, come out. You just talking shit, talking about how he was weak in bed and all this stuff, and it was embarrassing. That's like, come on. Does Hugh Hefner have kids?
Yeah, he has kids. I think he has 2 sons or something. I think they run Playboy now. Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of the Mormons, that Mormon thing on Netflix where the old minister had like 70 wives. But that was a whole different story. That was different. But
yeah,
don't be talking shit about the old dude and he's gone now, and you played along the whole time he was here, but now you're gonna talk shit like, oh, how it's grossed you out. And no, you sold yourself, you sold out
for your benefit.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got what you wanted out of it. You got something out of it. So don't talk crap,
because we would not know who you were,
not at all,
had you not laid up there with those vibrators and you did choose
your talentless ass.
Right.
What's your claim to fame? Like, are you solving world peace? I don't think so.
No, you're just fucking around with Hugh. And I mean, they travel, but I guess for me, they did not get enough for the situation that they were in, because like he paid them like a small stipend from my understanding. And I mean small. Like they didn't come up financially.
I mean, but they live for free. They have all of their basic needs taken. They didn't have to, they have vehicles. They were able to,
But they couldn't even come and go how they wanted. They would have to like ask permission to leave and check in. And could you imagine doing that at 21?
No. However, that's what they signed on for.
Yeah.
If I was, now let me tell you something. Let me be very clear about this. If I could get somebody to pay my way now, I would check in right now. What time you want me to be back?
You say that until you had to be back.
Very true. That's very true.
Well,
it depends on how well I'm living.
Wow. I don't know. I feel both ways. I feel kind of like I'm too old for that bullshit. And
at
I
21,
feel like,
though.
Yeah, at 21, you
might be willing to go for it.
Right. You might do it. So, hey, who knows? But yeah, so apparently having sex with Hugh Hefner was no walk in the park.
They earned everything they got. They earned
it.
And they worked hard for it.
He was difficult to have sex with. So you were not going to get your back blown out by Hugh. Okay.
And on that note.
Yes.
Thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, review, subscribe, and share. It helps other listeners find us. And don't forget to follow us at Yummy Fearless on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and even Pinterest, where you'll find additional content from today's show and also our highly curated He Can Get It list. As always, you can listen to the Yummy and Fearless podcast with the Side Chicks on Apple iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, and Spotify. And if no one else has told you today, we love you and thank you so much for listening.
You've been listening to a podcast of the Podfix Network. Discover more audible gems like this at podfixnetwork.com. Make sure to catch up-to-the-minute network shenanigans by following @Podfix on Twitter, official_Podfix on Instagram, @Podfix Network on Facebook. And make sure to subscribe to Podfix Presents wherever you choose to find podcasts. The Podfix Network, artist owned and loved.